at the beginning anyways, I tried to please everyone. So I started making soap dishes, I started making jewelry, and then all of a sudden it just got to be too many products. So I had to streamline to what was really in demand, what was really selling, and what was making me happy to create.
Welcome to Makers Unleashed. I'm Paul, and we're here with Edith from River Rock Resin Art, and we're going to learn who she is and how she does her amazing art here in her home workshop. And so welcome, Edith.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us here in your beautiful studio. We got to learn a lot. We were talking before this interview, and you showed us a lot of amazing things. We'll show it throughout the video. But we do have a few questions that we want to share with people who buy your art or interested in buying your products, to learn who you are. So what would you say is your pivotal moment when you're making some different art and so forth that you decided to start making it to sell?
So a couple years ago, my daughters gave me a nice serving board for Christmas that they bought in Victoria, BC, and it was a resin board. And I immediately saw it and I thought, wow, this is so beautiful. It's so sleek and modern, and I'd love to learn how to make this. So I did a bunch of research. I went online. I bought a starter kit. I started making coasters, and the demand was there. People were asking me to buy sets of coasters and bookmarks, and so it kind of just grew from there.
Okay, was it just by word of mouth? Like people knew that you were making some, that you made your own, or were you giving it as gifts?
I was already doing the craft show markets circuit because I had a previous business. And so I kind of had all my contacts established already. So it was mostly family, friends to begin with, and then they would show people word of mouth. And then I started doing markets with my resin products, and it was very successful. So I kind of started doing that and changed over my art form, I guess.
yeah, exactly. It just sort of, I found with interviewing other people, it's sort of like a progression.
Yeah.
It's like you start off as just for yourself, making it yourself, and then people see what you make, and then hey, can you make me one? And
if the demand is there, then, why not?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I started. And then by doing coasters, I also started doing other things like the serving boards. And then from there, I was seeing a lot of people were doing tumblers. Tumblers are very popular now. So I started doing tumblers last year. So it's now one of my biggest sellers.
Right.
So they're really fun.
A lot of people like ourselves, when we start something and we start seeing other things, like you're saying, you started getting into other stuff. Do you find that sometimes you're going too wide in different type of items, and then you have to sort of refocus?
Absolutely. So in making stuff, you always try and find different products that people will buy, and people will, people started asking for different things. Or, oh, do you make this? Do you make that? Do you make this? And at the beginning anyways, I tried to please everyone. So I started making soap dishes. I started making jewelry. And then all of a sudden it just got to be too many products. So I had to streamline to what was really in demand, what was really selling, and what was making me happy to create.
Right.
Jewelry is fun, but it's really, really small, minuscule type of work, and I wasn't enjoying it as much. And if the sales aren't there, then for me it's not worth it, because this is my business. I'm doing this full time now. So if it's not profitable, it's not selling, then it's taking up real estate in my stores. And
yeah, it's to find that balance, I guess, right?
Exactly.
Market research, what the customers want, but then also from your side of what you're prepared to work on, spend the time on, and also profitability, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
and the more different things you make, the more supplies you have to buy, and then your profit margin starts, going down.
Right.
So now I'm focused on coasters, tumblers, bookmarks, and serving boards. And that's
it.
my,
Yeah.
those
And
are-
then within those categories, you make it very unique and you can design.
Yeah, just about every set is like every cup is different unless I decide to do multiples, which sometimes people want. But most of the time they're one of a kind. I do one and that's it. The only ones I do repeatedly are the beach coasters because they're my top seller and people buy them all the time. So but what is fun about the coasters is that when I take a trip down south, I gather seashells, I gather sand, and then I put them in my art. And then the flower coasters as well. I go pick flowers in the wild, and people really like the fact that, these things are in nature, and I bring them into my art.
All local.
Yeah.
Well, not all local because you will go traveling, but it's things that you have that interaction with
That's
the
right.
environment and bring it into your
And people
items,
love hearing the stories,
Yeah, yeah. So do you put like or little descriptions sometimes on your items, or is that something maybe you're looking in the future to sort of describe like where these seashells, I can't say that twice, seashells come from, or where the plants are from and things like that? More
Probably something I'll look to doing in the future, but I have a business profile that I publish, and it's got all that information in it.
You were saying that you're listening to your customers on what you're going to make as designs and so forth. Is there like a lot of custom orders that you do as well? Like if they want to do custom?
Yes. So, for example, for the tumblers, I do custom designs. I can put someone's name on the cups. I can put a particular phrase on it that they use, that they want. Also, coasters can be customized, and the serving boards as well. For example, I had a lady who was celebrating her 65th birthday, was going to get together with some friends of hers, and they were all turning 65 that year, and she wanted a set of coasters for each person that says "Going Strong at 65." So I did that, and she was very pleased with that.
So it can not just custom, but also personalized.
Yes.
Right? So
yes.
So that's very
Yeah, and I love doing that because it brings me out of my comfort zone, and sometimes I have to do stuff that I wouldn't normally think of doing, and then people are requesting certain things, and I'm like, okay, I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, it works. So yeah, and so far they've been very pleased with the orders. So
yeah, and that's a good segue to my next question is like, what do you find is the hardest, part of making all your stuff, which is the hardest to make as you learn different things? Sometimes you might say, I won't do that again, or there's other ones that you never thought about doing, but they ask you to do it and you find that you really like doing that. Which one would you say is the hardest?
The hardest, probably personalizing coasters, just because you have a really small space to work with. Tumblers are easy to customize because you've got 8 inches of space to customize, so it's easier when you can work with bigger vinyl. If you work with the smaller the vinyl, the harder it is to work with. So I'd say my biggest challenge is probably doing vinyl on really small things like bookmarks and coasters.
Good to know. I'm sure a lot of people who are starting out might might learn from this. That's our goal for this channel, so that's great to know. We talked at the beginning about how you got your word of mouth and through friends, and you had a business before, and so it kind of took off like that. Now, are you looking at other marketing strategies to try to get your name out there to get more customers for your items?
Yes, so I belong to Ottawa Artisans Group, and I now have retail space shelving at 5 locations. So Billings, Bridge Mall, Rideau Centre, and Saint Laurent, Tanger Outlet, and Bayshore.
Oh,
and
amazing.
I also recently got into a small shop in Winchester called the Maker's Hub, and they're carrying my products as well. And I also do private workshops, which is something I really enjoy doing with my educational background. People come either one-on-one or two to one, and we go through all the theory, and then we make 4 products together, And it's been very successful for me, and I really enjoy doing that. So.
Right. And that's what I find with all of these makers, as we're doing more interviews, everyone's willing to share. Everyone wants to learn and share their,
their knowledge.
Their knowledge and
absolutely, and that's something that I really enjoy, and people. I've had a really good, successful response from people taking my workshops, so I'm gonna keep offering them and doing them.
It's an amazing community, and it's so much fun to see, and so in awe of how many people are part of that community and getting to know each other. And it's one of the reasons why we do these videos. It's
yeah,
to
exactly.
get that word out there and see how everyone does everything. You can integrate.
Yeah, and for example, a friend of mine has her business at Ottawa Artisans, and I made her a cup, a tumbler with her colors of her business and her logo, and then she brought it to Winchester and then showed the lady, and then that's how I was able to get in there, right? So it's just
linking, networking, and all that, right?
Yeah.
So from the online perspective, you're probably not all that active, or are you fairly active in online?
I have a Facebook page, and it's the same as my business name. It's River Rock Resin Art. And now, because of my exposure in the retail spaces, I'm getting requests on a regular basis for people to do custom orders, and also just to come and pick up things that may not be in the stores, or something specific that they want. I don't have a website as of yet, but it's something that I'm looking for in the future. But right now, locally, within the Ottawa region, is keeping me busy enough that I don't
stores and markets
because I do community markets as well, farmers markets. So I'm keeping very busy.
So especially if you get online, because then you're looking at a broader audience compared to just locally those that go into the store and the markets, right? So that's a whole new different level.
And I mean, if you get really busy, then you have to start hiring staff, right? So that's the reality of it.
Yeah. And is that something you're seeing in the future, that you might take that next step, or you'd rather stay where you are?
I'm not sure. Part of me does want to get bigger, but then I don't want to lose the creative control either.
Yeah.
So if I would hire people or someone, it would be to do the basic work, like not the fun stuff, right? Like the sanding and the prepping and things like that are not as much fun, but for sure I'm open to it in the future.
Right. And then that whole online part is a whole other category of responsibility as well, right?
That's
Which would take you away from what you like to do and other that. So
but I know that social media is a big part of being exposed and being out there, so I know it has to be done. It's just not my favorite thing to do.
Right. Well, I know there's some resources out there, but everything costs money, right? That's the other thing. So that's where you have to make that decision and balance. For those who are thinking about starting out and want to go in that business route, that's something to keep in mind.
Oh, for sure.
Now, when you started, did you have like a vision of, like you said, it was a progression, but did you have a vision, like make a mission statement to yourself or for your business that, this is where I want to be in 5 years, 10 years, or?
Yeah, I do have business goals because I'm a very business-oriented person. So I do have goals, and my goal is down the road to just do this absolutely full-time and not have to worry about an income anywhere else. And I think I'm on my way, which is really good. It's just I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah, but you are focusing more on, like you said, you were branching out, but then it was too much. Now you're focusing, getting more niche oriented. Doing the workshops, you enjoy doing that, and that's another branch.
And I think part of it too is knowing your target audience, right? Who are you catering to? Who's buying most of your products? So I'm trying to cater to that group.
And it probably helps that you're in the store. You can see what people are focusing on, or
what's selling, what's not selling, and then I make my business decisions based on that.
Good market research, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Good. So this channel is all about helping other makers. So from your perspective, if you were to give one piece of advice to other makers out there who want, or just starting out or want to start out, what kind of advice can you give them? Like, sort of what starting point or equipment they should get if they wanted to do this type of resin art?
I think it's important to have a business plan in place as to where you want to focus, and then start small, because especially the resin business is very pricey, some of the items very costly. So if you're gonna go big right away and you're not sure if you're gonna be able to sell, then you will look at a loss, right? So start small, focus on maybe 1 or 2 products, and then see how it goes from there, and then expand. And that's basically how I started. I was doing just coasters, right? So, I think...
So niche focus, high plan, high minimal.
Don't expand too quickly.
Right.
Don't want to please everyone. Do whatever products sell.
Get good at one product.
That's right. Perfect that product and your process. Because now I can do coasters very quickly. Before I'd take a whole day just to do one set of coasters. Right now I can pour 8 at a time, especially during the busy time like fall and Christmas. Like that table is full of coasters, and I just churn them out, right? So.
Right. Good. I think that's good information for those who are interested in resin art. For sure, we're going to be putting down the links in the description for her social, artisans, and any other social online aspects of your business that can be shared. As well as we want to thank you, Edith, for having us come to your home and disrupt your busy your busy routine, I know.
Well, thank you for coming over and giving me this opportunity. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And people, if you found this to be informative and you like the information, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. And we hope to see you here again at Makers Unleashed.